You're watching the LeanScaper Podcast, where landscapers come to grow. If you want the systems, stories, and strategies to build a lean, mission-driven company that your team loves working for, keep watching. Guys, my name is Benji Carlson. I'm the EVP of Community Growth here at LeanScaper. We're going to talk about building a one-year people plan. So this is really focused on the people section of our business. And I wanted to just actually start this talk with having you guys talk a little bit. And I thought maybe we'd just play around with a question as a group. One of the things that you've no doubt noticed is it's fun and it's exciting to sit down and build strategy. People, I've found, love strategy because it's probably the most creative part of our business. None of the shit has hit the fan yet, so to speak. We get to play with whiteboards and ideas. And so people love this part of the entrepreneurial journey. If you've been in business for any time at all, you've no doubt noticed that sooner or later, all of these concepts, these plans, these timelines, these results that you're deciding on need to get done through people. And that's when it gets the hardest. So anyone who can volunteer to answer this question, I'd love to get a few responses. What is the hardest part about executing your strategy through people in your experience? We've got the catch boxes all around. Let's get a few volunteers here. And if you could stand, please.
Brian Fullerton, I was going to say is I feel like, myself included, I feel like I'm, communication guru of the world. But I've realized, like, what I say and what people hear are drastically different. And that was a wake-up call a couple months ago.
Why do you think that is?
Life experiences, education, perspectives. I'm in this environment that I take it back and we got to blah, 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 blah. And they're like, cool, so you mean like work harder? And it's like, no. So quantifying things, drawing things, giving visual aids, and giving examples. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Who resonates with that idea? What I say is different than what people hear. Everyone. Okay, who's next? We going here? Yeah, go for it.
I think for me, the thing that I've noticed is like how I communicate, because I may have a great idea and I may bring it to the team, like you said, but it's my job as a leader to take that idea and communicate it effectively, efficiently, and repetitively. I think Ryan, who's been coaching me for the last 6 months, has opened my eyes to the importance of the huddle, the daily huddle, the weekly huddle. And I've been meeting with my guys now for the last couple of weeks or a couple months. Every Wednesday morning we have a meeting and we talk about the same 3 things every week for the next 3 months. We're not going to talk about anything else but that, because I want them to get that picture. This is what we're doing. This is who we are. This is what we're doing. This is who we are. And it's become really fun for me, because now I'm not the only one that knows the vision, the purpose, what we're doing. I'm disseminating it down into the ranks. And now every person on the floor knows exactly what we're doing, because that's all I talk about.
You've embraced repetitiveness.
Absolutely.
Yeah. More on that later. Rich, you got one?
It's easier as owners to put the fire out than to prevent the fire. And so we always go toward the thing to do.
Easier to put the fire out than prevent the fire. Okay, got it. Yeah, in the corner here.
I would say that for a lot of our staff, when we bring these new ideas, then I go well, now you're just adding to my workload. And that often adds additional stress to what they feel like they're already overwhelmed or they've already got too much going on. So it's how do you communicate the benefits when you come back from an event like this and they don't actually see it because they haven't actually partaked in what we've already just went through. So they haven't gone down the journey of learning that.
Yeah, I mean, what Chris just said is really profound. Your team's actually dreading when you get home from this.
They hate it.
They're like, please stay, extend the trip. He's going to come back with a binder full of shit that he's going to make us do, and he's going to be excited, and we're not. Let's do one here.
Struggling with managing personality types and mingling those together. That's something I'm really trying to work on.
Personality types. Say more about that, like the cohesion or lack thereof.
We're big on the color personality chart, and so getting reds to work with blues and yellows with reds, and or hide, if you're on the disc charts, like the D's working with the S's, or S's working under D's. So very assertive people working under not so assertive people, and really struggling with that mix. So that's something we're trying to figure out.
Cool. Thank you. Do we have any more?
I don't have the answer, but I think that actually the LeanScaper team does this really well. And something that I'm having difficulty is making them care as much as I do. And it really seems like the people that Mark has put together do that exceptionally well.
Okay, one more.
Yeah, I think so. Just to piggyback off of a couple people that just went, I think putting that all together, it's trying to figure out how to get your team to care based on their background, but basically just where they are in life. Like what makes them get up in the day, in the morning when they're going to go out, they're going to meet with people versus what I look at for my day and what I care about and how to align those with different personality types because eventually it kind of just becomes another task for me to do. And I just go, okay, fine, I'll just do it myself then. I can't deal with trying to communicate this to you in the way that you're going to see it. So I'll just do it myself
I'm so tired of explaining this. I'm just going to roll up my sleeves and get this done.
because it cares more. I care more about it than you do.
Yeah. So 100%. And I think we can all relate to all of those shares. And yet the fact still remains that strategy, that I'm going to do it myself strategy, caps out at what? $1 million a year, maybe two if you're really grinding and working a ton. There's a very, very low ceiling, to go back to a theme from earlier today, by over-indexing on that strategy. And so today we're going to talk about building a 1-year people plan. How do we energize the crew back home with the vision that we have and get them to care, hopefully, as much as we do? Because we can't do this alone. It's a very, very simple and humbling fact of entrepreneurship. Now, I'm going to do this story or do this session through the lens of what I call my dumpster fire year. Has anyone had a dumpster fire year? Is anyone having a dumpster fire year right now? And I think the best way to back into the start of the story is just with an admission. So those of you that know me know this already. Those of you that don't, but I'm actually not a landscaper. I just want to come out and say it. Like, I need to own that. My first job in high school, I was a landscaper. I come from the painting world. I did 5 years of college pro painters. After that, I built a business called Breakthrough Academy for 8. And so, if that disqualifies me, Mark's in the back. You can talk to Mike. I'm sure it's not too late to have me exited. Don't do that. I love it here. But here's what I have done. I grew a really successful painting business in university. I put myself through college. Ironically, didn't finish because I just sat in too many supply chain management 101 courses and said, what the am I learning here? This is so stupid. Let me go sell projects and make money. And that's what I did. Don't plan on going back, but if a door closes at some point, maybe I will. But I was really successful with this College Pro Painters franchise. And what follows is kind of a cautionary tale of what happens when you don't have a people plan. And I thought, when I was kind of planning what I'm going to talk about in Charlotte, I thought this would be maybe really silly to speak about because the business was small and I was young, and everyone in this room now runs a larger and more sophisticated business than the one that I'm going to tell the story about. But I thought about it again and I was like, you know what? The thing is, I've repeated this lesson over and over and over. I'm still learning this lesson. I'll probably make it again. And the fact that it happened when I was running a $250,000 a year little student painting franchise doesn't really matter because the problems and the lessons scale. So whether in your first year of business doing $500,000, you're doing $10 million a year and you have a leadership team, I can virtually guarantee what we're going to cover today will make sense. So I'm going to share the story, then we'll get to some lessons. I'm going to take you back to, I think this is like 2012. I'm 20 years old. I'm in my second year of College Pro Painters. One of the things that College Pro does really well is they gamify performance. And so a lot of businesses and franchise systems do this where they'll have usually a big awards night and a big sort of like trophy and celebration giving out where they award all of their top performers. It's usually called something like Platinum Club or President's Club or Diamond Group or whatever. And you go to some hotel like this and everyone gets up and speaks. And it seems kind of corny, but it works. And after my first year of College Pro, I did about $120,000 in revenue. I went to this President's Club event and I saw a bunch of big kids speak. They would have been 24, right? And I saw them talk about their businesses and the growth that they'd had and the challenges that they'd been through. And I just decided, like, I needed that. I want that too. I was drinking the Kool-Aid, as they say. So I come back to my at-home business and I'm just like,
belly full of fire, super excited about the year, and I decide I need to do $350,000 as a second-year college pro franchisee, or I'm a failure. I have to be up on that stage next year. This has to happen. And so I will this into existence. What you're told when this happens is like, look, if you want to scale your business, you need to sell all the time. So make sure that you delegate production. So what I did in my infinite wisdom, I hired my little brother, who would have been 19, as a production manager. By the way, College Pro Painters is amazing at developing young people, not great at painting houses. I don't know if you guys have ever hired them. Ironically, their strengths lie in other areas. So I hire my 19-year-old brother as a production manager. And then from there, we pretty much deploy a warm body strategy. I hire everyone I can find, my friends. We get up to about 20, 22 painters going into the season. And I had sold a lot too. I was knocking doors in January. We had a good backlog of work to start the year with. And we get started, and I think you guys kind of know where this story is going. So we get these kids. Most of them are hungover on the job site. We train them for a few weeks, and I think in the month of May, all of the following happened. Not once, but twice in 1 week, we had full-gallon paint cans fall off of ladders and onto asphalt shingle roofs. And I don't know if you've ever cleaned latex paint out of an asphalt shingle, but it's like, not to be crude, but it's like cleaning dog shit out of a carpet, but worse. It's horrible. We had a painter fall off a ladder, break their ankle, have a concussion. I had half my crew quit in a week, so now I'm down to half of the rest of my crew. That crew gets heat exhaustion because I put them on a fence job in the middle of the summer where there's no shade, because I'm a genius. And the entire year just completely blew up in my face. We ended up doing $230,000 in revenue. I think I made about $12,000 or $15,000 on that, so really, really unprofitable. And I ended up working in a kitchen that winter to put myself through school. Terrible, terrible, terrible leadership. Just really bad. Really young, really bad. And so I tell that story to just sort of show what happens, as you guys know, when there's very, very little thought that goes into the human component of our business. And what's interesting about this side of a company is the people side of our businesses is simultaneously can be the best, the most rewarding, the funnest, the most gratifying part of being an entrepreneur. Giving someone a promotion that they deserve, seeing someone hit a financial goal through the work that they've done with our business. You know, this is really deeply meaningful stuff as a business owner, but at the same time, they're also the biggest headaches. And so we're dealing with a very polarizing facet of company growth. And so I think we'll go to the vibe board now. Can you guys see that? What my dumpster fire year taught me about people and leadership. Okay, lesson 1. What follows is what I've learned, and I'm still learning, how to get people to do what you want them to do. Pretty easy idea, really, really difficult to implement. Vision first, structure second, people third. So we started this session, Mark started this session with vision for a reason, right? My favorite idea from the Bible, and don't worry, this isn't going to be a sermon, this isn't that kind of talk, it's just a really, really amazing concept that applies to this, is where there is no vision, the people will perish. That's Proverbs 29:18. Mark spoke to this incredibly well this morning. It is the vision that moves people. It's the vision that inspires people, that attracts people to our company in the first place. And I'm saying this, by the way, as someone who has left companies because the vision wasn't big enough. So that is everything. It's not the systems, it's not the work, it's not even the people a lot of times. It's the vision for the future that attracts the energy towards it to get things going. Now, another favorite quote of mine is, vision without execution is hallucination. Vision without execution is hallucination. And I think there's a lot of people in this room that have spent a lot of time hallucinating over the years. We all have. That's okay. So the question becomes, how do I get it executed? And the answer is, of course, through your people. Now, the mistake that most of us make, by the way, is we start with what we think is a vision. It's really just a disorganized assembly of vague ideas about the future that we talk about a lot. It's not really it's not a vision. It's not written. It's not refined. It hasn't been shared. It isn't well understood. So we do that. We skip the structure part altogether, and then we generally just kind of hire people that we like and hope that they do well, right? We say, welcome to the chaos. Here's a shirt. Here's a hat. Here's a crew lead you're going to follow around. Here's a foreman that you're going to buddy up with. Good luck. And then 6 months later, we wonder, where did this all go wrong, right? So show of hands, who here has done exactly that at least once in their career? Recently even? These lessons scale. We keep making these mistakes. So there was 3 big things that I kind of screwed up on that led me to this realization. One is just great person, wrong fit. I've done this so many times where I feel a connection, I feel a vibe with someone, I'm pretty gregarious, I'm pretty outgoing, and I just like the person, I kind of shove them, it's a square peg in a round hole, right? Who here has, in the last year, lost what could have been a really great employee just by shoving them in the wrong spot of their organization because they had an empty hole to fill? Show of hands. A bunch of us, right? We do this all the time. Mistake number 2 that led me to this realization is over-indexing on skill and under-indexing on values. Skill and experience matter a ton, like don't get me wrong, but would I take a loyal, hardworking, committed person that my team loves to be around over some hotshot performer who might be really skilled but is kind of an asshole to work with? Any day of the week. These are human-driven companies and will be for a long time yet. And that's not something that the rest of the economy can say, by the way. And so I would always, always, always be over-indexing on values, and I'd maybe make some allowances when the skill isn't there, and I'd be willing to coach that. The third mistake that I make all the time, a gentleman over here said this earlier, I think that because things are clear in my mind, that they're clear in the minds of everyone else's. That's the hallucinating part. It's like, it's so obvious. It's so clear. Don't you get it? And the answer is no, they don't get it. So we must, and I'm glad that you said this earlier, we must embrace repetitiveness. Who here is a fan of Ed Milet? Does anyone listen to the Ed Milet podcast? A few people. He's awesome. I love him. He gets me through some hard days. And he's got this quote that I have written down in my office at home. He says, most leaders say new things to the same people. And great leaders say the same things to new people. It's this embracing of repetitiveness that is where the real results happen. Say it 10 times, say it 100 times, keep going, keep going. The lesson here, fundamentally, guys, is that it's your job to have a vision and over-communicate it and embrace repetitiveness. Where do we want to go first? That needs to be clear. Step number 1. Then we start to design an organization where that makes sense. We write the X's and O's. You think of like an offensive coordinator in football. It's like, we want to do this with this play. Therefore, I need these players on the field running these routes. Vision first, then we design the organization, then we start to fill it with the people that we want. And what I'm saying is most people have a half-baked vision, skip the structure, and just hire people they like. So that is lesson number 1. We'll keep moving. Clear deliverables for every role. I was really lucky last year. I got to interview Dan Martell, who wrote Buy Back Your Time. And he's a super hot shot now. There's no way I'd be able to do that again. But I hit him at the right time of the algorithm. And he agreed to do an interview with me. And there's a part in his book where he talks really clearly about chaos addiction. Chaos addiction. And I was like, what? I highlighted it. And so when I interviewed him, I asked him, I said, like, what is this thing about chaos addiction that you talk about? And he explained it to me really well. He said, entrepreneurs are fundamentally wired for chaos. We actually like it when fires erupt. You actually like, I'm not saying you love it. I'm not saying it's pleasant, but you are activated by it. And it's like, man, there's blood in the streets. Like, I know what to do here. I can be a solver. We're wired that way. And he thinks maybe it comes from childhood. I think maybe it's just our personality trait. Who knows? Where this becomes interesting to reflect on is like, your team does not feel that way at all. That's why they're your team. They want you to do that stuff. And so one of the huge mistakes that we make over and over and over and over is assuming that they have the chaos tolerance that we do, and they absolutely do not, right? You want to draw outside of the lines. They want to draw inside the lines. You don't want to be put inside of a box. They'd like to be put inside of a box. You get excited when there are problems to solve. They don't so much. And so my rule of thumb is that whenever you think that something is clear, it needs to be twice as clear. You need to distill it 100% more. And we completely underestimate how clear we need to make things, which kind of moves into the next point, which is no written agreements. One of the things that I did in that dumpster fire year, which I never did again, is I just sort of hired people. We did handshake agreements. I loosely described their job description once using my words. I never had anything in writing. I let them fly at it. And then I couldn't believe, I was stunned that they were confused a month later about what I hired them to do. I was shocked when they left to go work for another painting company. I was like, oh my God, such an idiot. And so most of us think we're being clear with our team. We're really not. The easiest way to do this is to put it in writing. The beautiful thing about the written word is that it's a forcing function for thought. If you can't write, you can't think. And so one of the real powerful things about doing this is it makes you think through the role. Does this make sense? Do these deliverables all hang together nicely? Do these tasks make sense for this position? And I would ask you to think about it this way. Would you spend $75,000 on a piece of equipment and then just kind of like assume the warranty terms? You wouldn't. But we will absolutely hire a $75,000 a year employee and then just kind of go handshake and here's your office and get to work. So this is a big mistake. There's no excuse for this with AI now. Lana's going to play an unbelievably pivotal role in getting you these things faster, written agreements all day long. Lastly, once you have the agreement, it's attaching KPIs to it and actually making some deliverables that anchor it. And I drew this thing on the plane yesterday, which I think is kind of fun. Look at my drawing skills. So I call this the alignment scope. Dialing in your people plan requires you to become laser focused on the deliverables and KPIs that each role owns. Title's on this outside rim because title doesn't really matter. Like, I mean, you need to have a job, you need to call the role something, but at the end of the day, you talk to an office manager in one company, it's vastly different from an office manager in another company. These things are not synonymous with each other. We kind of make up titles as we see fit. Sometimes our team wants a certain title, so we give it to them. Titles are not that important. Tasks, a little bit more important, right? If you want to give someone a list of accountabilities or things to do, it's better. But really what we want to be center of the bullseye on are the results. And the way that we measure those are with deliverables. This is what you need to deliver to the company. And KPIs. Here's how we're going to measure success. And so when you're thinking about designing an organization, forget about titles, forget about tasks. Just think about the results and everything will flow from there. It's beginning with the end in mind, but for people. I want you to deliver this to me as an owner, as a business. And in order to do that, let me reverse engineer the tasks. And in order to do those, let me reverse engineer a title. Okay, well then we'll call you this. That makes sense. This was a big and profound change for me. And the fundamental lesson is your people just need a lot more structure than you do. A lot more. And it's your job to provide it. And Lana and the tools that we're building can just dramatically, exponentially speed up that process and take away the guesswork. Now, the last thing, and I'll do this quickly because I want to get to this working session. We just talk about accountability systems at every level. Mistake number one that I've done a million times, we all do all the time, is forgetting that management matters. Charlie Munger, who knows who Charlie Munger is? Rest in peace, RIP. I just read his book. He's the best. Charlie Munger is the business partner of Warren Buffett. He's kind of the quiet mastermind behind Berkshire Hathaway. And one of the things that he talks about a lot in his investment thesis when he's looking at companies is he goes, everyone thinks that it's all about ideas and vision, and it's not. Yes, that's part of it, but management matters. When we invest in a company, company, we look at their management team, their management systems, we look at their recurring meetings, we look at their dashboards, and we place our bets depending on that. The reason half of you in the room love to call yourself visionaries, one, it sounds cool. And two, it implies that you're such a genius that you just get to vision cast and whiteboard and your ideas are so good that they implement themselves. And I'm here to tell you that's a load of Your ideas are great, but everyone loves their ideas. Vision is important, but it needs to be implemented. And so people sleep on this management piece and they make it so much harder on themselves by not learning the first two sections I went through. Mistake number 2, no recurring meetings. So I'm not going to get too super deep into this. Mike's going to be on stage tomorrow talking about operations. We'll go through the core 4 and other stuff. If it's not on the calendar, it isn't real. It's the one-on-ones. It's the monthly reviews, right? Without them, it's chaos, it's confusion. Not good. And then mistake number 3, I would just say data blindness equals finger pointing. When people are noticing in their companies that the business it's angsty and people are blaming each other. The field is blaming the estimator is blaming the office is blaming the customer, and the whole thing repeats. We think we have a toxic culture. That's usually what we say. This is a toxic culture. We got to fix it. Maybe 9 times out of 10, it's just a sign that the business isn't collecting or sharing the data that it needs to. So if you started to have dashboards, you started to share your results, even share some of your financials, share this stuff publicly. One of the things I'm so excited about with LeanScaper AI is our scoreboards. You start to have this filled out in a place where everyone on the team can see. You will just watch as the finger pointing dissipates. And so the lesson here for me was simple. Humans are not robots. Give them structure, support, love, and connection. Oh, and by the way, people play a lot better when you keep score. That's the truth. So I want to move this into a bit of a working session. I went through all that just as a frame, a bit of a story, a few laughs, a few lessons, really to get to what I think matters here, which is our first working session on the people plan. What I want you to do is the following. For 5 minutes, before you get into Lana, I just want you to chat at your table. So look around and share. Answer one question to each other. What is the one single biggest people issue in your company that you want to fix? Not 3, not 2, 1. What is the one people issue that you want to fix? We'll do 5 minutes of that. When we finish those 5 minutes, you're going to go into Lana and you're going to build a 2026 set of SMART goals and initiatives for your people business. And the prompt that you use, let me finish. The prompt that you use is help me create a 1-year people plan. The guides are going to circulate. If you have any questions, we're here to help. Let's lock in and get this done. Let's hear about some people problems that we're going to solve. Who here can share a people problem that they've identified and they're feeling motivated to fix? Okay, cool.
I hired people for the first time this year. I kind of went to 3 people right away from 0. And I did a poor job at setting expectations of what I wanted from everyone. I had a mow crew foreman. He was going to do that. That was his dedicated job. And then I brought on like a landscape apprentice, I called it. They were inexperienced. I didn't train them very well, and that didn't work out. I had to let them go. And I had a kind of mowing technician I was going to have come on with me and help out with some landscape, 1 or 2 days a week. And I set that expectation poorly, and the mow crew lead got in his head, and he just wants to stick to mowing now. And just me being a new leader, I'm young, I'm 19. I've had a hard time navigating that. So I'm just kind of doing all the landscape myself, which is 70% of our revenue.
Amazing. Thanks for let's give a round of applause. 19 years old. What did you stay standing for a second? What did you discuss? What do you think maybe the practical solutions are for this? Like, what are your next few steps given what you just shared?
I've kind of been putting it off because they're both summer helpers and they're going to be gone in August. But at the same time, we still got 6 weeks till that happens. So I haven't really navigated it. I just kind of took it at face value. They've been doing great on the mow route. I'm just kind of letting them handle that. They're okay not getting enough hours, but
Cool.
yeah.
What's your name?
Sam.
Sam. Somebody find Sam later. We're going to brainstorm the solve for this today. He's not leaving without a solution to this. Somebody find Sam. Thank you for sharing, Sam. That was great. We got one over here.
Thanks, Sam. For us, we run a pretty seasonal business with a heavy focus on snow. So one big issue with us is our retention. We're chatting about it with our ops manager. Year-over-year retention of team members, I think every time we retain our core people, they get better every single year. And a lot of times they come back, they're somewhere else in the summer season and then they're back with us in the wintertime. So those are still great employees. They understand our system. They understand what we're looking for. They come back. We've gotten better. And it's just so much faster to train them, onboard them, get them to the next level. So I think that year-over-year retention, season-over-season retention is important, especially when we have a 6-month gap between the seasons and our winter is such a larger part of the business. So we have a lot of work to do to kind of fill that 6-month gap and bring people back.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. Let's do one more.
Yeah, so we kind of all agreed on this, the four of us here from Local Roots, that trust between departments and then just in general, from leadership to middle management to employees, just like general sense of trust that we're all kind of working towards the same goal. I know it starts with the visionaries up top, right? Where you can go A to Z really quickly, but you're not filling in like B to Y. So just like that explanation of that is going to come in handy to really connect the dots from like sharing the metrics that we all believe in and everyone kind of understands those, but actually tying it to their individual positions, right? And saying like, as simple as a production manager, if we're saying, hey, gross margin matters or revenue per man hour matters, like he knows that. But he also like wants us to hear that he needs 5 extra hours in a truck with one of his foremen to see what's going on versus us just saying every week, why isn't gross margin 50%? Can you work on it this week? Yeah, I'll work on it this week. Like he'll say that, but we're not actually giving him the tools to do that. So that's kind of our one takeaway.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's give a round of applause for all the shares. Thank you, guys. We have really, really good energy in the room right now. We're going to carry this into the second working session of our 1-year people plan. Smart goals and initiatives, to be honest, guys, aren't worth the paper they're written on unless we have the right people in the right seats on our team to do them. And so this is arguably the most important part of this whole session. We're going to do this is 2 parts. What we're going to do at our tables for the next 15 minutes is we're going to design our desired 2026 org chart based on our current org chart. And so in your workbooks, I want you to open this up to page 35. There's on the left, your current state. On the right, your desired state. Now, if you run a big organization, maybe like 40 headcount or more, you don't need to draw every single person on every single crew. You can clump people together, maybe put your management layer, draw it in a way that makes sense for this space. So we're going to start with current, and then we're going to draw desired. When we finish that, we're going to go to the next pages. So 36, 37, 38. And there's a section that I've designed that just is hires, fires, and promotions. And I'm going to ask for some shares on these to wrap. So current state org chart, desired state org chart, and based on the desired state, who do we have to hire? Who do we have to fire? And who's getting promoted? This should be fun. We've got 15 minutes. Let's go. Okay, guys, let's bring our 1-year people plan session in for a landing. So, I thought we'd close with some more sharing. Now, there's 3 questions in your workbook, and I'd love for you to write in these as we wrap this up, but I'm wondering if there's a few brave attendees who are willing to share, not what they're excited about, because that's too easy, and everyone gets it. This is crossed off. I want to know what people are nervous about. So what is one thing that you have unearthed in your plan so far that you're like, yeah, that's going to be hard. I'm nervous. I'm a little scared about that. We going over here? Yeah.
All right, my name's Clayton. I own Westube Outdoor Services. And I'm super excited about it. So I know you said don't talk about it, but we're hiring some like field managers and office admin. But that also makes me super nervous because I'm taking some stuff off of my plate and letting other people do it. So I just have to have that faith and make sure I train them well enough, make sure that they know what I'm expecting and everything like that so that we can grow even further beyond just what I'm capable of. So I'm excited about it, but more so I'm nervous about it too.
And while I've got you, just answer the second question for me. What's the biggest leadership challenge that you think you need to overcome to make that happen?
I think I'm a micromanager. I was kind of telling these guys, but I've been working really hard to like overcome that. So I need to empower them. I'm hiring them to do a job. And I need to make sure that they know that I feel confident in the skills that they have. So that's going to be tough for me, but I think that we can do that.
Awesome share. Thank you.
Yeah.
Tommy, let's go you next. Yeah.
First, I think that's what I'm most nervous about is change. I have a group of guys that are resistant to change. They want to know why the change, how is it going to look like, how it affects them, and they're resistant. So it's nerve-wracking a little bit. Come Wednesday morning, when we have our field manager meetings and we pull these guys in, they're expecting it and they're ready, all guns blazing, and it's question after question after question, and they want answers and they want explanations. And even when you explain, they still want explanations to the explanations. So that's what I'm mostly nervous about.
You say your name's Albert?
Yes.
What's your biggest leadership challenge that you need to overcome to execute on that?
I think it's kind of pulling everybody in. I found out that we've implemented stuff that they were resistant to, and it's just looking at it from their point of view and asking the question, here's the problem, what do you think the solution is? And somehow the solution you have is the solution they bring to the table, and then it no more looks like you brought it. It's like, okay, well, that was their idea, and then they're not resistant anymore. So I think it's just taking a step back, and instead of trying to give them the solution, say, hey, here's the problem. Until we fix it, we're not leaving this room. Somebody has to speak.
Albert, you've just stumbled across like one of the most profound lessons in leadership, which is like 90% of it is getting other people to come up with the ideas that you had to begin with. And it's open-ended questions, and it's corralling them towards what we ultimately want to have happen. What you just said is such a profound insight, and I think that's a huge, huge thing to work on. Was there another one there, Ryan?
Go for it.
I was just going to say something about that.
Go for it.
That was really well said. You say even when you tell them when the problem is, they still have questions about it. Get them to tell you what the problem is. We do an annual town hall where there's no owners allowed in the room. We have it facilitated by a third-party CEO who's a friend of mine. And I don't even think we need to do a third-party one anymore because our culture is so open. But we continue to do it anyways because they come up with a long list of what they feel are the wins, the upsides, like all these things and the problems. And then we just they address the problems. They go through that same exercise that you're talking about. So that is the coaching habit. There's a good book called The Coaching Habit. And that's a good way to draw the information out of them.
Awesome. Thank you. Great share. Let's do, we got one here at Action.
Can I actually do 2?
Sure.
One for me and one, and I'll pass it on to someone else.
Of course.
I think the one I'm most nervous about, I was going to actually say people's resistance, but I realized you guys just kind of talked about it and it kind of answered my concern that maybe open-ended questions is the way to go. But I think my next thing I'm nervous about with my people plan is so I'm about 2.5 years in, and I will say that I have failed to earn a lot of people's respect and authority in the company. even though I think I deserve it or I've really tried. So my biggest concern is how am I going to do it for new people? It's working very well, but how am I going to do it for existing people who I've worked with already for 2.5 years? How will I earn their respect and authority since I haven't already done it in 2.5 years and I don't know what else to do or show or prove that I could get it now or in the next year.
Awesome.
And the other one, I'd like to pass it off to Dimitro.
Okay, hello everyone. So for me, I think the biggest challenge is motivate and inspire other people. So I think people respect me, but when I need them something to do, and it's not within their scope of work, for me it's hard to convince them that they need to do it.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Great share. Do we have one more? Yeah, let's do one back here.
So one of the biggest challenges that I see that we have, helping everybody in the organization, whether they're in management or their production, to see themselves as minds and not just backs. And that goes to see themselves that way. It goes as managers. Sometimes we perceive people as just labor as opposed to technicians. And so helping people make that shift in their minds to see we do this at a level that is far beyond just, I need your back on a shovel. I need your mind to be fully engaged, and helping people to believe that about themselves and their roles. Our market perception of our jobs oftentimes makes people feel like landscaping is a job of last resort, and we need to try to help people be able to see that differently.
Ryan, who spoke a minute ago, has a great saying, which is, well, I'm going to steal your thunder here, but it's every pair of hands comes with a free brain, and I love that expression.
Love that.
I wonder what you think you need to do as a leader to drive that a little bit more in your culture.
So part of it is a continued diligence on the management level, on a continued diligence. We need to hold each other accountable every time we let our language speak in about, well, I don't think the crews can understand that. I don't think they can. So we've got to be super diligent about that. And just, we can't allow that, whether it's in jest or otherwise. We've got to stop that. The other one, I said the second one is helping people develop margin in their lives. We talked about it at our table a little bit. We're not social service agencies. I get that, but I can't ignore Maslow's hierarchy either. If I don't help people address that, I can't expect them to be fully engaged. So we've got to figure out paths to help people have a better life and have more margin.
What a share. Let's go.
One thing that I'm really nervous about is we are hiring a salesman shortly. We hired one. He had a vacation his second week planned. I knew it coming into it. By the end of 2 weeks, he had done one estimate and then ghosted me. And I heard from him 3 weeks later saying, hey, how do I get my stuff back to you? Like the phone and the polos and stuff like that. Dude never even got a single paycheck. I said, we need the $1,000 of equipment we gave you, and I'll process your only single paycheck because technically he worked a week. Not sure what happened. So we're going through the interview process again. He was a 4 to 6 week interview process. That's just really nervous, handing that off. I had to take over all of the estimates that he was in charge of as a business owner. Now a lot more of my time is dedicated to account management, follow-up, and I cannot serve the production side, the office side, with all of this wonderful LeanScaper stuff because now I've taken over 20 clients that I didn't have planned for. And the biggest leadership challenge is just one that I've experienced on the ops side of like sunk cost fallacy. There are people that I've sunk a lot of time into, a lot of training into, and then I leave a bad culture fit in a too high position because I've sunk so much time into it. And for everyone that does that, so far, the 3 or 4 guys we fired because they were a bad culture fit, other people stepped up into those roles, and we went from 14 to 10 guys and got just as much work done. We did not lose production at all.
Awesome. Great share. Thank you. What do they say? Don't prolong a problem just because you took a long time making it in the first place. That was an awesome session, guys. I really want to thank you all.